are back on the
Build Phase TV. And today we are going to talk about Marvel Dice Throne. Specifically, we are doing another Marvel Dice Throne review. Captain Marvel,
the
correct?
most Marvel of them all.
Just to point out here, since the last time we did a video, they were at 2,026,000. So
They've hit 250.
They made like another $25,000 in the hour since we recorded our last video.
Like, how are they making so much so quickly?
Because they make a good product, so people want to support it, and that's awesome.
Unless it ends up like our what was it, Moon Elf that we got?
Oh,
they gave us another Moon Elf, but when I picked it up, it just split into 6 pieces.
Well, at some point, I actually want to make a video specifically about the Roxley quality control, because we've had some issues. We've bought a lot of Dice Throne product, and across those products, we've had a handful of minor issues, but the customer service on them has been fantastic.
It's not like any other game. Like, they'll just give you another copy sometimes if it's like something major and all.
Yeah, the speed with which they replaced our damaged Moon Elf board was really impressive.
I don't think we still have it, but it was like...
No, we do.
It was like in 12 pieces.
But hey, well, we're not here to talk about quality control issues and how awesome Roxley is at solving quality control issues. Today we're here to talk about Captain Marvel. So before we go into this one, do you have any predictions about what you think we're going to see, what you'd like to see from Carol Danvers? What do you got?
Stupid, strong tank.
I think she's going to be like the Barbarian. It's going to be a ton of damage and hard to damage back. So she's going to be tanky and damage
that's exactly what I said. Stupidly strong tank. But, like, not in the same way as the Barbarian, where his rolls are kind of easy. I feel like her rolls can be a little bit complicated, but way more rewarding than the Barbarian, which is an insane thing to say, because the Barbarian, all of his rolls are super rewarding in damage.
So I think this is going to be, like, on a complexity level. Do they tell us here? Let's see.
Yes, they do.
I think she's going to be like a 2. There you go. So
wait, no. Isn't it at the top?
No, that's for Loki.
Huh? Oh, I was always looking
so she's a complexity level 2, which is kind of what I expect. I think this is going to be the kind of character that you're going to be able to put in somebody's hands and say, let's learn how to play Dice Throne. And even if they're not an experienced player with the game or an experienced player with like PvP card playing games in general, this is going to be like the learn how to play character. Kind of the same role that I use Barbarian for right now.
I challenge you, Barbarian versus Carol Danvers. Who do you think's gonna win?
Well, let's look at her character board and I'll answer that question at the end of the video. Deal?
Okay.
Okay, so first off, combat point dial. What do we think of this artwork?
I like it.
2 thumbs up. Yeah. I realize it's not the most interesting analysis to look at all this art and every time go, oh, hey, it looks good. But,
it looks good. I mean, like, what else do you expect us to say for such a good artist?
If Manny was less consistently awesome, then we wouldn't give the same review to all of his art.
This one is amazing.
I think this one actually is a standout. The health dial. I like the way she looks dynamic. I think it looks really cool.
I like the stars.
This one is also good, but I think this one stands out more. Out of all the health dials we've seen, this one is up there with me as one of my favorites.
I like this one the most.
Okay, so let's start with Dice Face. So we see photon. You can clearly see another photon.
And then I see a black thing, and then we can't see the other. So.
But we have the 4 and the 5 over here. So therefore, we know she's going to be a 3-2-1. So
which
the
is
simplest
very
dice face, and that's what I expected from this character, from a complexity level 2 character, a barbarian-like character, which again I'm assuming she's going to be.
It turns out she only does like 1.
Do you think this is called like Rise or something?
No.
I mean, it looks like her like blasting off into space, right?
Well, I mean, like, look, go back to the die. You can clearly see a black, like, circular type thing, so I doubt it's called Rise.
Good point. And if it's enough letters that it gets that far in the thing, it's got to have more than Rise. Okay, well, either way. Moving on to her status effects.
I think it's going to be called Flight.
So we're going to start off with a unique status effect, Cosmic Ray, stack limit 2. After attacking, a player with this token may spend it and roll 2 dice. They choose one of those 2 and add the value of the die to their damage total as an attack modifier. You can only spend 1 per turn. It can't be spent the turn it's gained, and it can't be removed or transferred by any means.
The fact that it can't be spent the turn it's gained really...
I don't like that.
I was going to say I think it makes it more fair based on the fact, like, if you get something, like... Based on how they're probably going to have super high damage output, imagine you have like an already 10 attack thing, and then you make it 16.
So let's compare this to the Shadow Thief sneak attack, which is another ability that you roll 1 dice and you add the full value. So it's notable here in a couple ways. The first, that you don't have the ability, this doesn't do half value. This isn't like a lot of other combat abilities where you roll a die and you get half the result. This, you get the full result. So this is a potential 6 damage added to your attack. That is a ton. And you get to roll 2 dice, so you actually have 2 chances at getting that really successful roll.
And you get to choose which one, too.
Yeah, and it'd be kind of silly if you rolled 2 and then you didn't have the choice.
Well, no.
Like you roll 2 and you have to choose the left one.
No, the opponent would get choose.
Oh, dude, if the opponent got the choice, that would be terrible.
Yeah, they'd just be like,
you would get,
but 1 is 6. Let's go for your 1.
That would turn this into a 1 a disproportionate amount of the time. But it's not that. I don't like that it can't be spent the turn it's gained. Now,
I think it makes it more fair.
I might look at the rest of her board, and her damage values are high enough that it's like, okay, that needed to be in there. But,
or maybe her damage outputs always give her cosmic rays, and it's like, would be unfair if you just got to spend all of them.
I do like that it's limited to once per turn. Again, this being a potential 6 damage increase once per turn seems completely fine. If you were able to add essentially an ultimate worth of damage to an attack, that would be insane.
Agreed. Like, this isn't an ultimate. This is my basic strike, and I'm still attacking you for 16.
So, overall, I think this is a solid status effect, but I'm going to wait until we look at the rest of her board to determine how much of a hindrance I think the can't be spent the turn it's gained. For one, I don't like the can't be spent the turn it's gained mechanic because we haven't seen that before in the previous 2 seasons of Dice Throne, and now we have 2 characters in the Marvel that have this like restriction.
It's going to hurt them a lot.
Yeah, I'm not a gigantic fan of it.
Okay, now Cosmic Flare. Stack limit 3. It's a positive status effect. Deal 1 damage per token to all opponents. During their upkeep phase, a player with this token deals 1 damage per Cosmic Flare to all opponents. Then remove 1 of these tokens. I like that.
So one thing that I think is a little weird, though, is why doesn't this say collateral damage? Isn't the word we have for damage to all opponents collateral damage?
It's different because collateral damage means it's the same damage to all opponents. But if they have something to block it, it's like individual, in my opinion, is what it means. So if one opponent blocks it, it doesn't block it for everyone.
Okay, well, if that's true about collateral damage, then okay, I understand that. But I suspect that on you on that rule. I'm not sure I agree.
I am suspicious on myself for that rule. I doubt it's true. But that's the only reason that makes sense, in my opinion.
These are absolutely going to be the kind of tokens that are going to get annoying. Because if your opponent can get up to a stack of 3...
They're like poisons, but the thing is you can't transfer them on the enemy player because you have to transfer them on yourself.
Well, you really don't want these on an enemy player. If an enemy player uses one of their cards to steal this from you, which they probably won't do because by itself 1 is only going to deal like
it's
a poison
more
damage.
Annoying than poison.
Which actually that's more like the Seraph. I think Blinding Light.
No.
At the start of the Seraph's turn, Blinding Light deals 1 damage to everybody, right?
I thought it was at like the
start
of your turn, and this is at the start of your opponent's turn, meaning that they can't like.
No, this is not at the start of the opponent's turn. This is during the player who has this token. During their upkeep, you deal 1 damage to everybody else.
Then I feel like I guess I must have just read it in the way I thought.
But
I thought it meant
here's the thing.
as in the opponent's
you
upkeep.
Don't steal this from somebody because if you steal this, if you're not on Captain Marvel, you don't have the ability to get more of these. And once it goes off once, you remove it.
Yeah, which makes it so much more annoying than poisons.
Well, I mean, but it's constantly decaying. Even if they get up to a stack of 3 and they have 1 turn where they do 3 damage, then it decays down to 2 for the next turn, unless they can replenish it.
That's why I'm hoping that this character has a lot of ways to replenish.
I do kind of like the idea of the Captain Marvel player being in the position of having to devote attention and resources to maintaining the Cosmic Flare economy to keep burning the opponent down. That's a cool mechanic. Well, I hope that's a cool mechanic. We'll see.
I'm drawing a blank on their name. The I keep on wanting to say necromancer, but no, pyromancer. It reminds me.
That's a different kind of mancing.
I think that this character, now just from seeing this aspect, is going to be more like the pyromancer in the fact that the cool off mechanic.
I think she's going to have better defense than pyromancer.
Of course.
Maybe less total damage output, but better defense. Again, kind of like barbarian.
But the thing is, the reason I relate it to the pyromancer, I keep on forgetting that name, is because it's kind of like the cool off effect and the fact that they lose it at the beginning of their turns. I keep on like drawing a blank on pyromancer. Why?
All right, so radiance, positive status effect that goes on Captain Marvel. So she has no negative status effects. What is that Dice Throne Adventures villain that forces you to inflict yourself with a negative? It doesn't matter. So she has no negative status effects. This one, out of all the status tokens we've seen, this is one of my favorite. I think this token looks
I love it
amazing.
As well.
And it's just abstract, like whatever. It's not even of anything, but it looks super cool.
Can I tell you why I like it most?
Tell me why you like it the most.
I mean, like, let's look right here at the Cosmic Flare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have any background art. None of the other tokens have background art. Well, in this one, it has such a unique background art, which makes me love it so much more. And even if you don't notice why you like it so much more, it's probably because the background, even though it's...
I think that's why it stands out.
Like, the colors are just drawing attention to the main thing, which makes it so much better from an artistic standpoint. And I know a lot about art because...
If we look at all the other status tokens, they're generally very simple lines on like a flat background, and this one actually has background to it,
which makes
so
it so
I think
much
you're
better.
right. That is probably why it stands out.
I hope that in upcoming like Dice Run seasons or something, Manny will do more of background art because it just makes the token look so much cleaner and better.
I mean, there is a risk there because if you put too much stuff on it, it stops looking clean, and then it draws your
attention away from the thing. But like this subtle background, it just makes it look so much better. So I hope.
Well, we do want the tokens to be easily recognizable because in a game situation, you want to be able to look at your opponent's board and read the tokens, so to speak.
But as I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is just the little things in the background like that, where they're just little stars, which make it so much better. And just the few colors make it just so much better. But anyway, away from the art standpoint, because we could talk about that
we
way
did go
too
off
much.
On the art on this one.
We haven't even told.
Okay, so what does Radiance do? It looks beautiful, but what does it do? A player with this token may change the value of any die rolled as part of a roll attempt during their defensive roll phase to a 6.
What?
So...
we almost never get stuff that the 6 helps you.
So
stupidly.
There's this thing, coming from a background of TCGs, I am very used to looking at a card effect and going, oh man, this would be really cool if I mixed it with this other card. And I get to do that in games like Versus or Magic the Gathering. But in Dice Throne, I don't get to do that. And when I read this power, all I can think is, I want to put Radiance tokens on my Shadow Thief.
Actually, I do think I kind of want to come up with just like a you and me homebrew kind of tournament, who's better, where we don't use any of the tokens off of the characters, but we decide which token replaces that token for that character. I don't know why. Just feels like a fun idea.
Wait a minute.
What?
This isn't even... Oh, okay. No, this is the 6. Okay, I was misreading the die. I thought this was her level 1 symbol, and I was like, her defense thing doesn't even benefit from a 6, which would have been insane, but it does. That was
her whole thing is that she needs 6s, it looks like.
So we're going to start with the defense value on this character. Normally we start with their basic attack, but because we just read the status effect.
Like what we did on Doctor Strange where we went to the
Book of Ashanti. Yeah. So energy refraction is her defense power. You get to roll 4 dice, which is a pretty strong number of dice. My suspicion is when you upgrade this, you're going to get to roll all 5. If you roll a 6, you both deal 1 damage and prevent 1 damage for every 6. So every 6 is worth 2 points of health spread. That's really good.
Wow.
Especially with how many dice you're rolling.
Can I just say what I'm a little bit annoyed about here?
Sure.
I wish it had a little bit more of the ninja touch to that defense, where you can re-roll 1 die.
Just because you like the ninjas so much.
I have my reason. Because 6s are so hard to roll. And are rare to roll. So if it had you may re-roll 1 die, But how hard is that going to be to get? Is the question.
That's true. We don't know how plentiful radiance is going to be.
Reroll one die. I feel like it'd be so much better because it allows the defense to kind of spread more.
Well, here's the thing to consider. They've already used that mechanic on the ninja, and radiance is a whole new mechanic.
Yeah.
So I see your point.
But I mean, like...
But they let us kind of get there through a different path.
But what if there's only like 2 cards that give you radiance?
Okay, well, let me put it this way. What if this said you get to reroll 1 defense die over here, and they just deleted this gorgeous status effect out of the game entirely? I don't take that trade. This status effect is too beautiful.
I'm just saying, I wish that you could like reroll or have some built-in mechanic to the defense to help you get more 6s without the radiance.
Well,
because
we'll see.
I feel like radiance, based on what it does, is probably going to be more rare than common.
We'll look at her board and we'll see. The other thing that she has, if she rolls 2 of the 4/5 dice face, gains a cosmic flare.
I'm going to call that flight. And
every cosmic flare is worth at least 1 more damage. So potentially with this dice roll, if she rolls all 6s, then that's going to be 2, 4, 6, 8 health spread. Or if she rolls 2 of these, then that's another damage. So this is one of those defensive rolls that actually is not as damage absorbing as I expected her to have, but it's more damage dealing than I expected.
So it is more like the Pyromancer.
She is leaning more towards Pyromancer than Barbarian at this point.
Yeah, it's like a Pyromancer more of. Well, now I'm going to ask you at the end of the video, which is going to win, Carl Danvers or Pyromancer?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I actually remembered it that time.
So Photon Punch, she's going to, and again, this is a 3 dice face photons, so 5, 6, 7, with 4 of a kind giving Cosmic Flare. The damage values are fine.
Can I tell you what I think is going to happen at level 2? The 3 is going to stay as a 5. The 4 is going to turn to a 7. And all 5 dice being that is going to turn to an 8. Well, the Cosmic Flare will be, like, 2 of a kind.
2, I think...
Well, no, 3 of a kind.
I think Cosmic Flare is going to go 3 of a kind.
Yeah, why did I say 2? Because 3 of a kind makes way more sense.
And it wouldn't surprise me if there was a Photon Punch level 3 where the maximum one gets up to 9 damage.
Yes, of course.
And maybe that's the one with 3 of a kind. This is a totally solid basic attack. I suspect she's going to roll this a bunch.
Yes, and I would love it.
This is potentially a somewhat reliable, well, maybe not maybe reliable is too strong of a word, but this is a sometimes added benefit. If you're getting that Cosmic Flare, then this 7 actually becomes an 8 damage output, or more if you're playing more than a 1v1 game.
Well, no, because it's at your upkeep phase. That's not the end of your turn.
But no.
So
but listen to what I'm saying. I attack, I deal 7 damage to you, right?
And
then when my next turn rolls around, based on this dice roll that already happened, I deal 1 more.
Well,
so that dice roll was a total damage output of 8.
I was going to slightly agree with you in the fact that, but it just... I wanted to also add the fact of it's not always because the opponent has their turn, they have their cards, they might have a transfer, except they probably won't use a transference on something.
Yeah,
like
they could what status effects or whatever else. Sure. And let's point out, Carol is going to be deeply vulnerable to what status effects. Your opponent is going to have no reason to ever use that on themselves because you're not inflicting any negative status effects.
Yeah, which makes her super vulnerable.
So in against characters like, say, the Shadow Thief, which I know I reference the Shadow Thief a lot, but he's my favorite hero.
Yeah, I think we all know at this point.
He has threatening positive status effects and threatening negative status effects, which puts a lot of pressure on where you commit your what status effects you're going to draw in that game, where you're going to play it. Carol takes that pressure off and
just makes you want to wait till they have all their good status effects and then they're completely restart on status effects and it's hard to get them back.
Yeah, you can use it. You can commit to using your status effect removal cards
feel bad about it.
Offensively instead of having to keep some back defensively. And that could be a weakness in this character.
And not even feel bad about it because there's nothing that they can do to you.
Well, I'll never feel bad about it.
Well, because maybe they'll then gain a blessing of divinity the turn after.
So let's move on to Inner Light. This is going to be 2 of the 4/5s and 2 of the 6s. That's not a super high probability roll.
Yeah.
This almost feels like the kind of thing that...
This feels like Black Panther.
If you're trying to push it, like for a mini alt or a straight that doesn't work out,
this is where you
fall back into Inner Light. And as a fallback power, Radiance plus 4 pure damage. Not a big fan of pure. If it was just undefendable, I would like this better. But this isn't a bad fallback roll.
It's better than the scratch. I will always say about abilities, it's better than a scratch.
Well, everything's better than a scratch.
Except for losing your entire turn.
Well, that is a scratch.
Well, no, because you can't play cards if you lose your entire turn.
I don't think this is a power you're going to roll for. Like, you're not going to target this very often. But this is a power you're going to
fall back.
Yeah, you're going to find yourself triggering it.
Stops the scratch.
When you fall short of a mini ult and you don't end up in an Aurora wave. And given how symmetrical these dice rolls are, we're going to skip down here before we do barrel rolls.
Yeah, also I like the word Aurora. I can't remember what it means, but I just like how it sounds.
So the Aurora wave...
I just realized how hard it is to see that E.
Yeah, it's almost...
I wish they made it picked a different color for their text there.
So I'm really interested to look at this card this power compared to Inner Light, because are there going to be times where I have the necessary dice to activate this, but I choose this one instead?
Okay.
Let's see. Gain a Cosmic Ray and roll 2 dice, then deal damage equal to the total roll value.
I can get out the Barbarian.
Dude, that's a potential 12 damage, man.
Should I say the Barbarian right here? He actually he has an ability just like that.
Okay.
And if it's under 6, it becomes undefendable or something.
This right
That's
here.
Amazing. I love it.
This is why you can't spend it the turn it's gained. Because if you could spend that the turn it was gained, then that's a potential 18 damage.
That's what I said. It's just it can become better than an ult if you can spend it the turn it's gained.
Wow. Now, you're not going to get all 6s on this every single time, but this could be an interesting nuance for this character where you save your cards like 6-it and your tippets, and rather than trying to like push for an ultimate, maybe you luck your way into an Aurora wave because you whiffed going for something else,
and then you
commit your 6s. Now, the pressure here is this roll requires at least 2 6s, and if you're saving your 6-its to try to up the damage.
And it takes every single die face.
But if you end up triggering this and you have that 6-it, I mean, that could be just a massive amount of damage. Wow. I'm really kind of surprised.
I am already in love with this character. I just kind of want to skip to cards because you said based on the cards in your hand.
Well, let's get through the board. We'll do the cards last. All right, so barrel roll. 6 damage, roll 2d6 on the photon. So this is going to be her 50% chance to hit this on a dice. You add 2 damage per dice. So that could be a total of 10 damage.
Yeah.
Or...
Wait, 10? What do you mean? It's 6 and then it's on.
Oh, it's on. It's not...
Wait a second.
You're right. No. I misread that. Okay.
I'm happy I corrected you just to not
So you could gain 2 cosmic flares, which is pretty strong, which is... essentially produces 2 damage as well. Or you could gain a Cosmic Ray, which could produce anywhere up to 6 damage. So there is some like weird variance with her damage output, because Cosmic Ray, that could do anywhere from 1 to 6. That could be extremely good, or it could be kind of terrible.
Yeah.
Aurora Wave could be extremely good, or it could be 2. Imagine you gain your Cosmic Ray, you roll 2 dice, and you have 2 1s. You see Snake Eyes. And then, and you had to, this roll develop Snake Eyes. So there is, a big swing in terms of her output could be some of the highest output of any character we've ever seen, or it could be absolute trash.
Can I tell you what I think would be cool?
You can always tell me what you think would be cool.
On Aurora Wave, if this attack is less than, 5 damage, you may ignore the rule on Cosmic Ray and spin it this turn.
That would be a cool upgrade. If an upgrade allowed you to spend a Cosmic Ray the turn you got it, that could be a real serious kill turn.
But only if you had a certain amount of... Sorry, I have the hiccups. If you only have a certain amount of low damage value. So it's not always, you know what I mean?
So out of the powers we've looked at so far, I think Barrel Roll is the closest to a fair power.
I just realized I didn't read the name. Do a barrel roll. Yeah,
this Barrel Roll is... I mean, it's fine. It just kind of looks weak compared to the other powers we've already looked at. But it's not. It's fine.
It's a pretty decent power if we hadn't seen any of the other powers.
Wow, look at the art on this one.
Can we read the flavor text first?
Higher, further, faster.
I don't like that flavor text.
It kind of matches the character.
Nah.
Here, maybe that'll help your hiccups. All right, so we have a small straight. Gain radiance, 7 damage.
Not just a normal small straight, one with amazing artwork.
It's fine.
Another one with the stars, which I feel like just makes it so much better with those small things.
I'm not crazy about this power, but it's fine.
Its artwork's amazing.
Yeah, the artwork is amazing.
I would agree with the fact that it's an okay power, but it's
I imagine
not
the upgrade gives us 9 damage. Maybe an extra radiance.
Okay, but then let's
Whatever.
go on to Light Torpedo, which I'm going to read. Light Torpedo, it's a large straight, so you need 5 die to line up and all. And gain a Cosmic Ray, do 7 undefendable damage.
That's significant undefendable damage.
Wow.
Yeah, that's...
Wow.
And it's not pure, like the other...
Which means that if you already have a Cosmic Ray, you can add to it.
Yeah.
By so much.
Now, this would be a power where I actually think your idea that you mentioned over here on the Aurora Wave, I think that would fit better here if the upgraded Light Torpedo said, on this activation, you may spend a Cosmic Ray the turn you gained it.
Well,
like,
no.
that would feel really strong.
The reason I wanted to do it specifically on the Aurora Wave is because it can end up being super bad. So if it had a rule, like, if it's less than whatever damage, it'd be less than, you can spend it. So it only negates the rule if you get a stupidly horrible roll.
Okay. Any other thoughts on Light Torpedo?
Amazing. I
I think this is fun.
cannot wait to start rolling some large straights and smashing your face on.
I mean, compared to the Barbarian's large straight, this is
It's
way
bad.
less damage.
But it's still undefendable.
But within the tapestry of this board,
I mean, with a
comparing it to the
Barbarian, I'll
rest of the
smash your
board,
face in with some 20.
I mean, her big damage burst is over here. It's not over here. And
Probably
that's
her
fine.
ult.
So, mini ult for...
Supernova. Gain a Cosmic Ray, Radiance, and a Cosmic Flare.
2
Deal
Cosmic Flares.
5 undefendable damage. Sorry, I skipped over those.
So, if we assume those 2 Cosmic Flares get to go off, that means this ability is going to deal a total of 7 damage, which puts it even with the large straight. If your opponent has some way to manipulate the Cosmic Flares, of course, that won't be the case. But overall, as far as mini ults go, feels a little weak.
Agreed. It's a little weak, but it's still pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it's not like a garbage power, but I think rather than going for 4 6s, I'd rather go for one of these 2 powers.
Agreed.
Most of the time.
Okay, now let's do defense. Wait, no, we already covered defense.
So, Binary Blast is Cosmic Ray, Radiance, 2 Cosmic Flares, and 12 damage. So the mini ult is less than half the damage of the actual ult, but does all the same stuff status-wise.
I did not like it.
I mean, 12 damage is okay. It's not like the most we've ever seen on an ult, but it's on the higher end.
I'm annoyed about this.
What? What are you annoyed about?
The fact that Carl Danvers, which is Captain Marvel, of course, and is such a big damage dealer in the comics and the movies and everything, has a horrible ult.
Well, let's add this up correctly, okay? So it's 12 damage plus 2 Cosmic Flares. Those Cosmic Flares are going to do another 2, and then on the next turn after that, another 1. So a total of 3 damage from Cosmic Flares, assuming they all go off.
No, because
that takes
it
her
happens
ultimate.
at your upkeep phase,
Yeah, so the first upkeep, 2 damage,
which means your next
then you
turn,
lose
2.
1, then the turn after that, 1 damage, then they've all gone away. So a total of 3 damage from those added to the ult. So that's now we're up to 15 damage on the ult. This also includes a Cosmic Ray. So that Cosmic Ray is going to be anywhere from 1 to 6 damage. You're probably going to, when you throw a d6, what do you average? Like a 3? So we'll say that's another 3 damage. So now we're up to 18 total ultimate damage. If this Radiance is here, that's going to let you turn one of your defensive roll dice into a 6, which is going to deal 1 more damage plus reduce 1 damage. So that means your total damage output,
is 19.
if everything goes off, is going to be somewhere around 20, which is actually pretty good.
But the thing is,
that's pretty awesome. I mean, it's a circuitous path, and if
5 out of 10 times,
if your opponent has a what status
somebody's gonna
effects,
try to dig for a what status effects or have something.
Okay, but they only get one of those.
Unless they're playing Loki and go, takesy backsies.
Okay. In most games, people are only going to get one what status effects. And if they use that here, yes, that does reduce this ultimate down to
12, which
not
is
the
bad.
best damage. But overall...
It's a good ability overall, but what I keep on saying is, why couldn't they have had more damage output for such a damage character and everything?
I predict once we actually play this character...
But in the attack in total.
I predict once you actually play this character, you are not going to feel that way. You're going to feel like she has plenty of damage.
Not for the damage I'm used to doing.
It's not all printed on the board. It's not, it's not like this number says 20, but I think this collection of powers is gonna get there. Yeah, I think she's gonna end up doing more damage than just her raw numbers suggest.
Okay, now let's go for the cards. Shine Bright, 0 CP. I like to see that. Main phase ability. Spin up to 3 CP, so really it just costs 3 essentially. And then gain 1 cosmic player per CP. That is extremely good. I like that. How do you like it?
Well, if you spend all 3 CP, that means you get 3 damage, then 2 damage, for a total of 5, and then 1 damage for a total of 6 damage for 3 CP.
Yeah, and I like
that feels great.
I like how it doesn't just say cost 3 CP, gain 3 cosmic player, and you get to decide it.
I do like that you have the ability to scale it, so if you already have 2 cosmic flares,
you don't have to spend 3.
Yeah, you could just get 1. Obviously, in most use cases, I think you're going to want to play that out and get all 3.
Okay, so...
And maybe you don't play this card until after your opponent has vomited their what status effects out onto the board.
Of course. I don't know how to...
Scintillate. Ooh,
okay, I don't know how to pronounce that word. Scintillate?
Scintillate, yeah. I like that. That's an obscure word.
I'm
Good
guessing
one.
It says gain any number of radiance something.
Tokens.
Radiance tokens, then prevent 3 damage per token discarded.
Oh, it's not
discard.
Gain. I bet it's discard.
Wait, but you can only have 1 radiance, right?
No, I thought you could have 3.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
no,
2.
2. Okay.
Okay, so if you have a full stack of radiance and you play this, it prevents 6 damage, but you have to sack 2 tokens. This card better be free. If this card costs even 1 CP, I don't like it.
Yeah, and I like that as an instant. I mean, it has to be an instant. No, it could have been a defense card, but I like how it's an instant.
Think about it.
It costs way too much. It's a card plus possibly a CP and then 2 tokens. That is bad.
Well,
until you get until it's free.
If it's free,
then it's good.
Sometimes you'll use it. If it costs even 1 CP, I think you're better off selling it for CP than spending it.
Well, here's the thing.
Unless, of course, always, if there's an attack incoming that's going to kill you, and this is the only way you can stop losing the game, then it's fine.
Yes, of course. Why I'd rather stay alive at 1 HP.
Well, I mean, it bears mentioning. Like, often when we talk about cards, we don't always mention, like, the use cases where they're at their absolute best or they're at their absolute worst. We kind of talk about the mid-range. So
we talk about the standard area.
This card could absolutely win you the game. It could stop an attack that gives you 1 more turn.
It could be the difference between death and life.
But as a general run-of-the-mill use case, I think I would rather use my Radiances to turn these into 6s and hurt my opponent than prevent the extra damage.
Of course.
I want to kill my opponent. I don't necessarily... It's particularly with a character that it seems this focused on damage output. Turning those Radiances... Turning damage into defense seems like a trade I don't want to make.
Yeah. I still like the card. As long as it doesn't cost 1 or 2 CP. It needs to be free.
If it costs 2 CP, that card is
trash, and I'll put it in a paper shredder.
That card, all that card says is discard to gain 1 CP. If it costs 2 CP, then there's a misprint here.
Then I rip it up.
And the actual correct text is discard this card to gain 1 CP.
And I'll just buy another version of the card so I can rip it.
Oh, we're not gonna rip it up.
We're gonna shred it instead.
Okay, so do we have any final thoughts about Captain Marvel?
I like this character.
I think in the barbarian match, I think she stands a really good shot.
What about in Pyromancer?
I think in Pyromancer, she does not stand as good a shot because I think her raw damage output could probably outrace the Barbarian, but her defense isn't great, and I think the Pyromancer could probably outrace her damage-wise.
Yeah, I'd agree with both of those statements.
Okay. Is this the character you're most excited to play?
No.
No, not this one?
Not.
You know, we're getting down to like the last few characters here. At some point, you're going to have to say yes to that.
On the final one, which will be the character that I most want to play.
Well, you can't tell people we're going to do that one last. Now when we do the next one, they're going to know which one.
It was the first one then. I'm going to stream that.
All right. Any final thoughts?
I like this character, and bye.
Go win some games.